Aisha sat on the edge of her small wooden bed, staring at the dress lying in front of her. The room was quiet, only the distant sound of roosters and morning breeze filled the air. Today was her wedding day, a day she once dreamed of, but instead of excitement, her heart beat with fear, soft, trembling, uncertain. She picked up her dress, gently rubbing the fabric between her fingers. It wasn't imported, it didn't sparkle, it wasn't designed by a famous African designer. It was stitched by her aunt, thread by thread, late at night under a flickering bulb. Her aunt entered quietly, wiping flour off her hands. "Aisha, stand up, let me see you," she said lovingly. Aisha stood, and her aunt carefully adjusted the veil on her head. "My child," the aunt whispered, "your beauty is not in this dress. It's in your heart. Don't let anyone dim your light today." Aisha nodded, but worry clouded her eyes. "What if his family doesn't like me?" she whispered. Her aunt paused, then pulled her into a warm hug. "People who judge hearts by wealth never find peace. You just be yourself." A car horn echoed through the street. It was time. Aisha's heart dropped into her stomach. She walked toward the door slowly, hands cold, breath shallow. Outside, neighbors were gathered, smiling warmly. They adored her. She was the humble girl everyone loved. As she got into the car, she looked back at her little home. The peeling paint, the broken window, the potted plants her mother once tended. "Goodbye," she whispered. The car drove off toward the grand wedding hall, a place she had never even entered before. She didn't know. Waiting for her inside was the rich family that already hated her without knowing her name. The Kamaru family arrived at the wedding hall like they were stepping onto a red carpet. 2 luxury black SUVs rolled in first. Behind them, a convoy of shining cars. Bodyguards stepped out, followed by relatives wearing glittering outfits, gold embroidery, heavy necklaces, designer perfumes filling the air. Madame Kamaru exited last. Tall, elegant, eyes sharp as a knife, ego heavier than her jewelry. She scanned the venue with disgust. "These decorations?" she scoffed loudly. "Why does this look like a birthday party for children? We are the Kamaru family, not villagers." Her daughter Nadia smirked, adjusting her diamond earrings. "Mum, what did you expect? The bride is from the village. She probably thinks plastic flowers are beautiful." Their relatives laughed. The hall workers froze in fear. Guests whispered among themselves. Madame Kamaru strutted inside like a queen entering her palace. She inspected the cape, the chairs, the servers, finding flaws in every corner. "This whole setup is embarrassing," she announced. "If my husband was alive, he would have canceled this nonsense." Nadia checked her phone and sighed dramatically. "Where's Daniel? He needs to hear this. I still don't know why he's marrying that girl." One uncle joined in, chuckling. "I told Daniel to choose someone from our status. Aisha looks like she's never even seen a luxury car." The entire rich family laughed, enjoying the insults. A moment later, one cousin spotted Aisha's car approaching from the gate. "She's here," he said with a mischievous grin. Madame Kamaru's face hardened. "Good. Let me see what kind of bride my son has chosen." She folded her arms, ready to judge, ready to humiliate. The hall grew quieter. Everyone turned toward the glass doors, waiting for the unwanted bride to enter. The car door opened slowly. Aisha's foot touched the ground first, tiny, trembling, wrapped in simple sandals. Then she stepped out completely, holding her small bouquet, veil fluttering gently in the breeze. The rich family stared at her from head to toe. Not a word was spoken, but the judgment on their faces was loud enough to echo. Aisha felt every stare like a stab. Her dress was humble, her makeup soft, her jewelry light and simple. She didn't shine the way rich brides usually did, but there was an innocence in her eyes that outshone every diamond in the hall. A guest whispered loudly, "She looks beautiful." But before Aisha could breathe a little, Madame Kamaru leaned toward Nadia and said loudly, purposefully, "This is supposed to be our bride? She looks like a maid wearing her madam's dress." Nadia laughed instantly, covering her mouth. "Even the maids in our house dress better." Aisha heard it. Her heart dropped. Her chest tightened. She took a shaky breath and kept walking. Her aunt held her arm, whispering, "Don't look at them, child. Keep your head high." But it wasn't that easy. As Aisha entered the hall, she saw rich cousins snickering, women rolling their eyes, men whispering behind their hands. Every step felt heavier than the last. And in the far corner, she spotted Daniel, her groom, standing silently, watching everything, his jaw clenched, his eyes stormy. Aisha didn't know whether he would defend her or stay silent like everyone else. She just walked forward, with a breaking heart. The moment Aisha stepped onto the stage, Madame Kamaru approached her with a cold smile. Not a warm welcome, not a blessing, not even a hello. Instead, she grabbed Aisha's wrist and lifted the sleeve of her dress high in front of everyone. "What is this?" she demanded loudly. Aisha blinked in confusion. My aunt stitched it." "I knew it," Madame Kamaru interrupted. "This fabric is cheap. Look at it. Do you see this thread? It's already coming loose." She didn't care about Aisha's embarrassment. She cared only about humiliating her. Nadia walked around Aisha in a circle, examining her like a shop item. "Mum, feel this cloth," she said dramatically. "It's the type used for curtains in low-income homes." Laughter. Actual laughter. Aisha's throat tightened. Her fingers trembled around the bouquet. One cousin said loudly, "Oh, look, her veil isn't even branded. Does she not know brides wear designer?" Another added, "My wedding napkin cost more than her entire outfit." Madame Kamaru smirked. "This is what happens when you pick a girl from poverty. She brings her poverty with her." Aisha felt tears burning behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She whispered, barely audible, "I didn't come here to show wealth. I came here to belong." Madame Kamaru scoffed. "You will never belong here." Daniel heard every word. His fists clenched, his eyes narrowed. A storm was building inside him, but he hadn't erupted. Not yet. Daniel stood at a distance, watching every second of his family degrading Aisha. Every insult, every laugh, every twisted smile. He didn't interrupt immediately, not because he agreed with them, but because he was boiling inside, choosing the right moment, the right words, the right strike. His cousin nudged him. "Brother, why didn't you choose someone classier? Look at her." Daniel didn't answer. Madame Kamaru walked up to him confidently. "Well, Daniel, are you ready to cancel this embarrassment?" Daniel's eyes slowly lifted to hers, the calm before the storm. "Mum," he said quietly, "stop." Nadia scoffed, inserting herself between them. "Don't defend her, Daniel. We're doing this for your reputation." Daniel's jaw tightened. "My reputation?" he repeated slowly. "You think insulting an innocent girl makes us respectable?" Madame Kamaru raised her chin. "She's not worthy of you." Daniel exhaled deeply. "And who decides worth? Money? Clothes? Your ego?" Aisha stood far away, watching him defend her for the first time, but he still hadn't fully confronted them. Aisha wondered, would he truly stand up for her, or would his family's pressure break him? Daniel looked toward Aisha, her trembling hands, her shaky breath,
her breaking spirit. Something snapped inside him. The man who had remained silent was about to become the man who shapes the entire hall. Aisha stood frozen as Daniel tightened his grip on her hand. Everyone stared, shocked, confused, offended. Madame Kamaru stepped forward, voice trembling with anger. "Daniel, have you lost your mind? You're defending her in front of our guests?" Daniel didn't blink. "Yes, and I will defend her again and again if any of you insult her." Gasps filled the hall. Aisha whispered softly, "Daniel, please, it's okay." But Daniel shook his head. "No, Aisha, it's not okay. Not today." He turned toward his family. "You invited these people to celebrate our union, yet all you've done is humiliate the woman who will become my wife." One of his uncles scoffed. "So you throw away your family for a poor girl?" Daniel's jaw clenched. "I'm not throwing away anything. I'm choosing respect." Madame Kamaru's eyes filled with humiliation and fury. But Daniel wasn't finished. He gently lifted Aisha's trembling face and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "You don't need gold to shine. You shine because you're pure." Aisha's eyes watered. Her knees almost gave out. The hall fell silent. For the first time, people looked at her differently. But the silence didn't last long, because Madame Kamaru whispered to her sister, "This wedding will not go smoothly, I promise." Wedding rituals began, but tension hung like smoke in the air. Aisha walked slowly behind the bridesmaids, but one of them intentionally stepped in front of her. "You walk too slow," she snapped. Another bridesmaid murmured, "She should have stayed home, poor girl." They bumped her shoulder. Her bouquet fell. Everyone saw it. Everyone ignored it. Except Daniel. He rushed to her side, picked up the flowers, cleaned her hands, and whispered, "Don't let them dim your light." But his cousin, Tariq, shouted from the back, "Daniel, stop embarrassing us." Daniel turned sharply. "The only embarrassment here is how you treat an innocent woman." Tariq hissed, "She's just using you for money." Aisha froze. Daniel's voice dropped dangerously. "Say that again." Tariq smirked, "Using you." Before Daniel could speak, Aisha touched his arm gently. Her voice was soft but steady. "I don't need to fight them, Daniel. My truth doesn't change, even if their opinions do." Her maturity stunned everyone. Even some guests nodded quietly. But Madame Kamaru watched with narrowed eyes. "She thinks she's strong now. Let's see how long that lasts," she whispered. During the ring ceremony, another humiliation unfolded. The ring bearer, a little boy, came forward with the tray. As Daniel reached for the ring, Madame Kamaru stepped in. "Wait." Everyone froze. She smiled, a sharp, poisonous smile. "If my son wants this girl so badly, then let's test something." She looked at Aisha. "Call your family to the front. Let's see who raised you." Aisha's stomach dropped. Her family, poor, simple, dressed in their best but still nothing like the rich guests. Aunt Mariam, Aisha's old guardian, stepped forward fearfully. People snickered. Some laughed openly. Madame Kamaru walked around Aunt Mariam mockingly. "This is the woman who raised our future daughter-in-law? Really?" Aunt Mariam wrung her hands. I did the best I could." Madame Kamaru's voice boomed. "Your best is not enough for our family." Aisha rushed forward, tears in her eyes. "Auntie, don't listen." But Aunt Mariam looked up bravely. "My child, I am not ashamed. I am only sad they cannot see your worth." Her courage, her dignity, broke the hall's arrogance for a moment. Even Daniel swallowed hard. But Madame Kamaru wasn't done. She pointed at Aisha. "This marriage will ruin our family." Aisha's breath hitched. Daniel finally snapped. "Mom, enough!" The hall erupted in whispers.
The tension reached its peak. Daniel stepped between Aisha and his family. His voice shook, not with fear, but with controlled fire. "You all had your chance to welcome her. Instead, you humiliated her on her wedding day." Madame Kamaru lifted her chin. "There is still time to stop this marriage." A deadly silence. Aisha's heart nearly stopped. Her fingers went cold. Daniel turned slowly toward his mother. "Stop the marriage?" He laughed softly, but the pain behind it was clear. "I would rather burn this hall down than leave her at the altar." Gasps again. Madame Kamaru whispered, "You're choosing her over us?" Daniel's answer was gentle but firm. "I'm choosing peace, and she brings peace, something none of you offered today." Aisha covered her mouth, tears streaming. One of the aunties muttered, "He's bewitched." Daniel ignored everyone. He took Aisha's hands. "Aisha, we can walk out right now. We don't need this wedding. I just need you." Aisha shook her head, voice trembling. "No, Daniel. If we leave, they win. Let's finish what we started." Daniel looked at her with awe. Her strength, her courage, her heart of gold. She wasn't the unwanted bride. She was the bravest person in the room. Finally, the ring moment arrived again. Daniel held the ring carefully, looked into Aisha's eyes, and whispered so only she could hear, "I'm with you, always." Her breath trembled. "I trust you." Just as Daniel lifted her hand, someone from the back shouted, "Wait!" Every head turned. A man no one expected walked through the doors, tall, well-dressed, confident, eyes fixed on Aisha. Whispers spread like fire. Who is he? Why is he here? Is he from her past? Aisha's face turned pale. Daniel's grip tightened. Madame Kamaru smirked. Finally, some truth will come out. The man walked closer, closer, until he stood only inches from Aisha. And then he said, "Aisha, you didn't tell them about me." The entire hall froze. Even the music stopped. Daniel's eyes widened. Aisha's lips shook, because she knew everything was about to change. Aisha couldn't breathe. The man's voice echoed through the silent hall. Everyone stared, hungry for drama, eager for scandal. Daniel stepped in front of Aisha protectively. "Who are you, and what business do you have with my fiancé?" The man didn't answer Daniel. His eyes stayed locked on Aisha. "You really weren't going to tell them, were you?" Aisha's knees weakened. Aunt Mariam whispered desperately, "Aisha, tell him to leave, my child." But Aisha couldn't move, couldn't speak. The hall buzzed in whispers. Was he her boyfriend? Did she run away from him? Is she cheating? Madame Kamaru folded her arms boldly. "I knew it," she said loudly. "I told you all, a poor girl always hides secrets." Daniel clenched his fists. "Last time, who are you?" This time, the stranger looked at Daniel. "I'm someone she made a promise to." Aisha finally whispered, voice breaking, "Please stop." But he stepped closer. "Aisha, you owe me the truth." Daniel's world shifted. An icy silence fell. Right before the stranger said, "Tell them who I am, or I will." Aisha felt her entire past dragging her down. She finally gathered the courage to whisper, "His name is Musa." Daniel narrowed his eyes. Musa? Who is he? Aisha swallowed hard. He helped me once, when I had nothing. Musa clicked his tongue. That's all? Tell him the rest. Tension rose like smoke. Daniel's voice deepened. Aisha, is he your ex? Aisha shook her head hard. No, I never loved him. Never. Musa smirked. But you lived in my house for 6 months. The hall exploded in whispers. Aisha's chest tightened painfully. Her hands shook. Aunt Miriam cried out, "Don't twist the story. She was homeless. You forced her to stay." Musa raised a hand. Oh, did I force her, or did she stay willingly? Daniel felt fire rise in his veins. Aisha, did he ever hurt you? Aisha's eyes filled with tears. He tried to, but I ran away. Gasps. Musa laughed softly. Ran away? After everything I did for you? Daniel stepped closer to him. I'm warning you. But Musa spoke louder, drowning everyone. I didn't come here to fight. I came because she left something behind with me. Aisha froze. Musa's voice dropped like a bomb. Aisha, tell them about the letter. Aisha's heartbeat stopped.
Aisha's skin turned cold. Her throat dried. Daniel looked between them, confused and worried. "What letter?" he asked gently. Aisha shook her head, tears falling. "Daniel, I didn't do anything wrong. Please believe me." Daniel held her trembling hands. "I will believe anything you tell me. Just speak." But Musa interrupted arrogantly. "Then let me speak for her." He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small folded paper, old, creased, and held it high for the whole hall to see. "This," he said dramatically, "is the letter she left in my house before she disappeared." People leaned forward. Phones came out. Rumors ignited. Aisha clutched her chest. "Don't read it, please." Musa smiled cruelly. "Oh, I'm going to read it." He unfolded the letter slowly, theatrically. Aunt Miriam tried to grab it, but guards stepped in, Daniel's family guards, blocking her. Musa cleared his throat, enjoying the chaos. He read aloud. "I'm leaving because I cannot take the pain anymore. I will not let your threats ruin my life." The hall erupted. Daniel looked stunned. Aisha shook her head violently. "That's not the full letter. He cut out the ending." Musa waved it mockingly. "Believe whatever you want, but she ran away from my house. That's the truth." Daniel's eyes darkened. "Musa, you're lying." Musa shrugged. "Then prove it." Aisha sobbed silently. Daniel wrapped an arm around her protectively. But Madame Hamaru clapped her hands sharply. "That's it. The wedding is off." Aisha froze. Daniel turned slowly toward his mother and said in a cold voice she had never heard before, "Mom, if this wedding is off, then I am walking out of this family forever."